This conference will now be recorded.
Those recordings in progress. Right, try that.
All right, the Town of Cottage Grove Plan Commission will hold a public meeting on Wednesday, November 23rd, 2022, 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, 4058 County Road N. You can also join the meeting by GoToMeeting. The meeting was posted at the Town Hall and on the website. We have a quorum present. I'll call the meeting to order. You have the minutes of the October 26th meeting in your packet.
I'll make a motion to approve the October 26th minutes as presented.
Motion by Klinger, second by Troy. Any discussion on that motion to approve as presented? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same side. Motion carried. Next item is public concerns. Public's opportunity to speak to the Plan Commission about any subject that is not a specific agenda item. Anyone online?
Nope, just us.
Okay, moving on then. Benjamin Larson, BMS Properties LLC, applicant and landowner. Petition to change the conditional use permit 11462 for the veterinary clinic, pet boarding and pet crematorium at 2416 County Road MN to allow for expanded services. This was tabled from our last meeting.
All right, good evening, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. Since our last meeting, I had the surveyor come out and redo the map to give you a more specific idea of kind of what we're looking at. He was very busy this time of year, he explained to me, but he was able to at least get the parameters, and hopefully Kim has that all to you here, the new, with the new parking spots. Yep, they're better than my handwriting. So what you see, what's different from the last time is that was before, that was just the sort of as is look, and this is looking at the future potentially here. So we're looking at the parking spots up front, as you see, and I believe that he totals, if we count them all up, and you guys can double check on this, but I think there's 22 there. If we total them all up, 23. Okay, so I miscounted, sorry, but yeah.
With the 4 spaces for staff.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yep, that's correct. And then we looked at doing a building, as you can see, where the house currently sits of 35 by 90. We moved it a few feet to the south and have the trash containers just off to the north side of the new building. And the covered area, what is now the covered area, would have the same footprint, square footage. And then you can see the pavilion too on the east side, play deck covering half the play deck, which is a little less than half the play deck, which is what we're proposing as well, so that dogs can go out and play in bad weather and still have outdoor time. It's all open. So I also did, in the time since we last met, have a architect come in and look at what we need to do to satisfy codes and all those things. And he has sent me a very preliminary report and wants to do more work. Right now, everything looks really good according to what he was able to look at. So if you want, at least, I don't know if that information is helpful, or if that's more of a zoning conversation down the road, but I have done that as well to start really looking at it. I know one of the questions that came up was the fire, EMS and fire and their ability to get in and out. I very shortly after our meeting the fire inspector came to do the, semi-annual fire
Yearly,
inspection. I was like, oh, I'm glad to see that. So I talked to him and he said that the way this is configured is plenty of space because they need essentially 24 feet from the edge of the building. And if we're looking at the main building there, that's actually to those proposed parking stalls, that's at one point is about 60 feet. And at the narrowest point at the other edge of the building is about 40 feet. And so it satisfies the requirement for fire. So. And I actually ran that by the architect, he concurred as well. So.
It's good to know. I was wondering what those dimensions were.
Yeah. Me too. When it got brought up, I was like, oh, okay, I need to figure that out. So. And then also a question was raised about the sequence of construction. And I certainly put a lot of thought into that. We are looking at redoing the interior of there's a middle building there is the current kennel building. And we have a target date right now for February of 2023 to redo the interior. And what that means is new floors, like a new cement floor, and new kennels. I've ordered and put a down payment on modern kennels. They're outdated right now in the building. And so the middle one.
That's this building.
Correct. Yep, the middle one. It says building with overhang and 3,390 square feet. Yep. And so we're looking at doing just an interior renovation of that building this winter.
Okay.
And so that would be this first step. The second step would be the east side play deck and the pavilion. And that would be, my aim with that would be like May is the idea. And then after that is done, we'd probably hit the pause button for a while. And I'm not quite sure we wouldn't do the next two at once. We would do them one and then the other. And it just depends on the business and how long it takes for us to, essentially, I just need to kind of grow into the additions and the renovations here and see which one makes sense to do first. But like I said last time, it's really a 2 to 3 year projection at this point in terms of what order it goes in. It could either be that covered dog run first, where we turn that into a brick and mortar building essentially, or the demolishing the house and building the kennel building. So we'd have to see what made sense for the business.
What you said you were gonna do in May?
May would be the east side play deck, so new 8-foot fencing, 8-foot high solid metal fencing around the whole play deck, and building a pavilion where you can see the covered, it says 25 by 55 covered area, 1,375 square feet in front of those 4 parking stalls.
Okay.
That'd be like an open air, the proposal is like an open air, like a park, a pavilion you'd see in a park that's just, for lack of a better way to describe, 4 posts and a roof.
And the east dog room behind it.
Yeah, so it'd be covering the dog run. Yep.
May of 23.
That's my. That's correct.
Is there anything, the current covered dog run area, does that just stays the way it
It
is?
stay the way it is. Yeah. The only thing I might consider doing that is right now it's a wood deck in there, like planks of wood. Might consider ripping that out and putting a turf in there just for a better surface for the dogs. But other than that, in the meantime, there wouldn't be anything this spring that I would do with that.
And the 35 by 90 building that replaces the house is questions.
Right.
Questionable.
Yep, it's a future project. What I'm looking for is essentially the guidance and maybe the approval to do that, but it's probably 2 years out,
And until then, the house stays.
South stays. Yep, exactly.
The west fence dog run with the artificial turf.
Mhm.
What happens with the manure from there?
Yeah, we have a system of buckets. Basically, we scoop it, we put it in a 5-gallon pail right now every day, daily, and then we put it in the existing sewer system. So that the sewer that's in there right now, it's pumped. Yeah, it's pumped. Right now. now, once a quarter is basically when Dvorak comes and pumps it.
Is it a cement area? Is it cement
The,
for the artificial turf?
no, it's actually a hybrid turf. Basically, I put sod in and I put a hybrid turf over the top of it. And the grass, the idea, and this just happened, I have it there now. And the idea is that the grass will grow through once spring comes and kind of intertwine with the porous turf, and it prevents mud, and dogs from messing it up. But they poop and pee right on that, and we have the scoopers and we pick it up all the time, clean it up, put it in buckets, and then carry those buckets over to the
Other than the liquid.
liquid, right? The liquid runs
So
into the ground.
you might want to talk to environmental health,
Okay,
because that's going to be very close to your well.
yeah, okay,
And I don't know if that would be a problem
okay,
or not with it being that close.
as far as where, yeah,
I
okay,
mean, a farmer would be able to do it with livestock.
I
so
see, yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know how they would feel about the dog.
sure, okay. Makes sense.
Question? Public have questions? John?
I guess I'm a little concerned about those 5 stalls that are gonna stay in front of that kennel
Okay,
because of the traffic coming in there. As soon as somebody pulls in there, those dogs start barking.
Mhm.
And you were there before I was here.
Mhm.
So I am not gonna say anything, but if we're gonna go forward, going from 50 to 100 dogs, it's ridiculous.
okay,
I mean, soon, all you got is a blue tarp there now, and I'm not convinced this metal fence is gonna stop it.
okay,
When these cars are there, and you've got a total of, saying 15 employees on site at one time, maybe, besides the people who are coming and going,
yeah, so
is 20 parking spots even enough?
I would say, no, it's a good question. I think 15, for instance, like today would be a good example because we had a bunch of dogs come in for Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
for boarding. And I had, at any one given time there today, I had the max of 7 employees and people coming and going, customers
Right.
coming and going. 15, I put as a max because I wanted to be sure that it was
Right,
reasonable,
right.
but I understand what you're saying.
Well, the cars, the people, I mean,
Yep.
I'll be honest, I pulled up there right in front of that blue tarp.
Yep.
Boy, it's like you'd hit a bell and the dog started barking, and last couple of years, and since with COVID, we've been sitting outside more with company, and it's a constant yipping. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm strictly across the valley from you,
okay, yeah.
so I hear it.
Yeah.
Pretty loud
Yeah,
and clear.
no question. I understand.
And I guess if we're gonna go up to higher dogs and that, we gotta really make sure we can get that under control before we expand that.
You think, I guess, would it be reasonable to try and find another spot for those parking spots? Would that be a solution, or I don't know?
Having employees parked there.
Well, we could have
But that starts
employees.
at 6 in the morning.
Yeah,
But the car's not gonna come and go.
But as soon as they come in, they start barking. Dogs.
That car's gonna stay there the whole time. That's my point.
oh, if I have employees
yeah.
there, you're saying, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, they park-
I see what you're saying, yes.
Dog's not gonna know if it's an employee coming in or a customer.
So if you had the employees park, if I used those stalls for employee parking, those cars were stationary there. The customers would park in the big.
For their shift, yeah.
Okay. I hadn't even thought of that because I was thinking employees need to park for the way.
For hospitality, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But for neighborliness,
For sure.
you may not.
No, I mean, I understand. I do. Yeah, that makes sense. Yep.
Are dogs in that run all the time?
Not all the time there, but they are, for instance, I mean, if you're talking at 6:30 right now, they go out. And there are definitely a group of them in that run, for sure. There are some in there's some on the west side and some back in the covered area. So on busy mornings, they go in all 3 places. Yeah.
Right, so once it gets going, it just
Yep.
gets speeded up, and you're talking 7 days a week from 6 to 6.
Yeah, so But you tell me too, from your perspective, is it in the middle of the day?
I'm
Any
gone
better?
working in the middle of the day,
Okay,
so I
okay.
can't tell you that. I'm sorry, but in the
No, that's
evening,
okay. Yeah,
you know, in the afternoon, I get home in the evening.
Yeah.
I hear it, and I hear it in the morning before I leave.
Yeah.
So in the middle of the day, I can't tell you that, but I guess,
Mhm.
you know, I guess it's just, I don't think a fence is gonna do it.
okay.
My opinion, if you have a vehicle pulling up there,
Mhm.
they're gonna hear the motor and that's gonna go through that fence. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't have an answer for you. I wish I did, but
Yeah.
I,
Makes sense.
you know, something's gotta be done before we go ahead with that more dogs. That's all I'm gonna say.
What if you put a more solid wall on there with sound baffles on the dog side? Up high, try to kill some of that sound from
Is the-
leaving.
What is the, I guess I don't know what that is. Sound apples?
Baffles,
Baffles.
yeah.
So
Sound absorbent material.
it's material on like on the fence, you
Or on
think,
that
or
wall
or if we could,
and on the ceiling.
if
Because you
we,
got a lot of ceiling area up there. That could kill some of that noise.
well, if we did that pavilion, let's say we did that pavilion and closed it off on the south
Yeah, but
side.
this is right, isn't this it's just an open area you're talking about on the east side there?
Yeah, right now.
If you're
it
gonna
is.
bring that out even.
Yep, so right now it's an open area, and what I'd like to do is bring it out to the edge of the building, the current kennel building, so 15 feet
Okay,
south, and build the wall. And right now, the proposal is like an 8-foot fence and then a pavilion over the top. There'd probably be a 2-foot gap between the wall and the overhang of the pavilion.
okay.
Well, what if I could have the architect look at closing that side off, and building, basically, I don't know, the pavilion would become like essentially a roof on that side. And I'm spitballing here, I don't know,
Yeah, I don't, I'm just,
I would think for architectural purposes, you'd have to have it open a little bit.
a little bit of an opening at least.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it doesn't look like and act like a building.
yeah, I suppose, because you can't just do one side.
Right, but I think having that sound baffling material could be a help to those people.
Okay. Yeah. Also, actually your idea of making that employee parking to where the cars don't move, so the customers aren't parking there and coming and going and making noise, that could help too.
Right.
And also maybe limiting, see, if we divide this play deck, right now that play deck is completely open. So it's one play deck.
okay,
So if we did 2 play decks, the pavilion's one, and then the one to the north of that is still open. If you look at that, so there's a line where the pavilion is, it comes down, and the area to the north of that is wide open. The plan is to do 2 play decks already, because I needed to divide it partially for that reason, to create smaller play groups anyway, to
okay.
limit the amount of noise and activity in there. So then you could limit, we could always be cognizant and limit the amount of dogs that are in the actual, play deck that's furthest to the south there. So, we could take those steps. I don't, but. 'cause
Make me
I
happy
do-
if it was quieter.
For sure.
I mean, even if I got hearing aids, I still would prefer quieter.
No, listen, I completely respect that, because I understand, like, it's always a concern of mine,
Okay.
especially when I hear, just so you know, I don't come there and think, oh, they're barking, who cares? Because I know we have neighbors, and
And it really does, it's surprising how curious can do that. I
I
mean,
wish it didn't. Yeah. No, I hear you.
I thank you.
Oh, of course. Yeah, and I'm always absolutely willing to talk more about it, so, yeah.
So
What
that,
might be helpful for you to look at is draw up an action plan if you get complaints.
Yeah, okay.
What's going to happen and how soon?
So one of the things this brings to light is maybe then I do think much more about completing the enclosed building furthest to the north sooner, because if we completely enclose that, then it's all inside, and we can have 3 play areas in there where it's completely closed and you'd never hear it, because,
Right.
so we could
Yeah,
really step on that, because I'm down the road, and I had the existing foundation looked at, and they said it was we actually don't need to do anything more to that to build a building right on it. So that's good. And it's not, the building itself can be on the same footprint and
Retrofitted.
yeah, retrofit, and it can be, we don't need to pour, that whole thing doesn't need to be all concrete. It can be soil too and a turf on top. So that, I'm talking about cost, it's not gonna be as bad from my perspective of trying to do something like that, so it could help a lot.
Yes.
So,
And then look at baffling, like
yeah.
Dave
You
brought
come to
up.
my place, I'll show you what $1,600 will get you.
Oh, really? Okay.
You get it right
Yeah.
from Full Compass Studios.
Oh, okay. So it's like a foam maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Oh, that's very helpful.
It's in the
What
shop.
about even just putting an insulated wall?
Yeah, but you don't want to make it look like a building. Well, that insulation would probably help, but you don't want it exposed to the dogs.
No. I mean, both sides. I mean, you put wall covering on both sides.
Yeah.
You could build like maybe a double.
I mean, like a house wall. That's
Yeah.
what I'm referring to whenever on the dog side
Yeah.
of whatever material it would need to be to hold up or,
Okay,
um,
okay.
So looking at this, we have the new 25 by 55, which we're talking about. You got the solid heavy line here. Solid heavy line here, here, and here,
Mhm.
and here. What are those heavy lines?
The heavy line, so right here.
Yep.
That would be a fence that is, right now it's chain link. I could re-examine that too, in
Okay.
terms of making it metal, again, just to block sight lines and any kind of disturbance. But it sits between, right now is the house and the building, so that it's a security thing, that so that a dog that would potentially get free would not be able to just escape and potentially, run out to who knows where.
Two-door system.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's exactly right. So it's been good that way. And then this one is what I was proposing originally, the 8-foot metal fence. And this is just the other side of that pavilion. So this right here would be covered with that pavilion
Okay,
roof. Yeah.
because that's what I envisioned, that the front of that would be something solid, maybe with a
Right.
window. Maybe not now,
I don't even think a window. Yeah. No, it'd just be.
just be solid, and then even the area towards the east, that wall to the east, that could be solid, and the back
Yeah.
could be open.
Yeah, that's right. You get some air in there that way.
And then you wouldn't have to worry, it wouldn't be a building.
Yeah.
But yet,
Yeah.
your rafters, everything could come down on the wall and seal up on the south side and on the east
On the
side.
side, sure. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. No, that would be, because it would, yeah, I can see that. Close it off, if that would work, like. My only, I don't even know if it's hesitation, but it's just, I don't know. Does that create some sort of coding issue with wind shear if it doesn't have, if it's not really a building, but two walls are enclosed? I have no idea how that works. So.
Do you know? They can design that into it.
Okay. Well, no, that's great to know, because
Doesn't mean you can't have a post coming down from the roof line there,
right.
from that covered area, holding up the wall too.
Right.
So.
Yep.
Ma'am?
I'm Kathy Eccles, and I live directly west.
Okay.
The farmhouse with the big windmill.
Okay, back in, okay, yep,
Behind
yep,
you, yes.
yep.
And so I was wondering, the people that were there lived there.
Mhm.
And are you gonna have 24/7, somebody there? Because if you want to increase the amount of dogs.
Yeah.
And you don't have anybody there at night,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's just a scary thing.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question. Two things we've done or looking at with that. One is security cameras constantly loop back to me. I have a consultant that I'm working with who has dog kennels he owns in Belleville and Monroe, who has a security system that has cameras that he can see at all times with, you can peek inside and see the kennel. They're mounted in a spot, and all play yards. And then he also has it wired directly to the fire department, so that with smoke detectors and sounds, that if anything were to happen, they'd be first on the spot. Now, he doesn't have anybody overnight at his facilities. I am looking at utilizing right now, potentially have to look at the coding on this, but a room in the house where we would have overnight boarding with a human, because a lot of people go for that. They want their dog to stay with a human. So there might be a group of 4 or 5 dogs in that room, you know, and the human stays overnight, an employee, but they stay overnight with the dogs. And that's,
That's used to having someone there.
yeah,
All the years it's been there.
they were, yep, that's right.
And
They
so
live
the
there.
thought
Yeah.
that there wouldn't be anybody there
Yeah,
and then there would be more dogs.
Yeah.
Is a frightening thing.
yeah. I mean, do you mean in terms of just if there was like a fire or something?
Yeah, well, you don't know, when they
Absolutely.
were going to sandblast or have fireworks at the multi-unit things. I mean, the dogs, if they were there alone and that went off, they would be crazy inside.
Yeah, they would hear it and crazy. We do use some speakers with some sound to, now fireworks are a different story, but to block out like the highway noise. So like noise canceling.
I had to shut them down.
So, but I understand.
I
Yeah.
had to shut them down.
And Chris, I had a question for you. Didn't the other owners petition for having more dogs there at one time?
I don't think so.
I mean, years ago, I thought that they did. But I couldn't find it anywhere.
Mhm.
We had their CUP from December of 2019.
That was
Then
ours.
before that.
And then there was the one 2475. Let's see the date on that. Oh, that was December of 19.
Mhm.
Deed restrictions. I don't recall.
Okay.
I thought it was always 50.
Well, I thought, yeah, it was always 50, but I thought that they tried to get more and it was turned down. But that's been a while ago.
Yeah.
So, and I'm just concerned about 100 dogs
Mhm.
on a parcel that's 3 acres,
Sure.
3.2 acres or so. And you'll notice the terrain is very steep down to the road
Mhm.
on one side and all along the front. I mean, so much of that land belongs to the county.
Yeah.
So it makes almost every inch that is buildable is built on.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. We've
So,
looked at that.
you know, the other day I saw a girl out with 4 dogs out on Highway MN.
Yep.
And I thought, my gosh, I walk on that road and you can't see when you come around the corner from McFarland area.
Mhm.
You cannot see. And there's dogs, she had 4 of them on leash. I mean, I thought that was disaster to be had.
She was on the road. Just to clarify, she was on MN, like the road.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you can't walk down in that other part. You have
Yeah.
to be on the,
On the road, yeah,
road.
yeah. No, that's okay. I mean, that's Casey. She's our trainer, one of our trainers, and
okay.
she does, it's called a pack walk. And anyway, she's training the dogs how to walk.
And there's
pack
really
spot. I
nowhere
hear what you're saying.
to do that.
Yeah, so I agree, but she's been doing it in the yard during the
Okay.
summer. But I understand, like as you're saying this, I'm thinking, well, maybe I should talk to her
Well,
about
the
that.
other people used to do that a lot.
Oh, okay.
And so now that I've been walking on that part of the
Yeah.
road, even when a car comes, I just stand still
Do you? Yeah.
because it's easier for them to see what's going on. But dogs don't know to do that, you know, so
No,
that was kind of a
Yeah.
eye opener.
Yep.
So anyway, I just think that that's too many dogs. And I just wanted to voice my opinion. 50 is fine. I've never had a problem with it.
Okay.
And with them living there, you know, everything was
Yeah.
quiet. But this is, I just think, way too many.
Okay.
And especially you've got a lot of traffic on that place next door. You may not realize how much traffic there
Yeah.
is in the mini warehouses. But either
Oh, yeah,
the trucks go by all day long pulling trailers and whatever else.
for sure, yeah. Yeah.
So, that's a whole nother
Mhm. Yeah.
part of this.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. Yeah. No, I guess I would say, I think I tried to take, of course, all this into account and absolutely respect what you're saying. I feel like, we, right now, well, I should say with as we purchased the property, there were 3 play yards, one on the east side, one on the west side, and then the covered area. We've already turned the west side one into 3 on its own. So that's the turf yards right now. We're proposing 2 on the east, and then that covered building would be at least 2, maybe 3. So you'd be talking about, yes, an increase in dogs, but also going from 3 yards to, what was that, 3, 5, 8. The ability to separate them all into, more play areas, which
Those
decreases
play
the
areas
amount.
are divided with solid so
Yeah.
that they're not
Yeah,
interacting with.
exactly. The ones right now are all still that 8-foot high metal fencing that divides them that we just built. So that's what we build everywhere because, I mean, I totally agree. There's got to be solid walls between.
And you're going to have daycare,
Yeah,
right?
Yep.
And they didn't have daycare before because
yeah,
the hours, he was only open a few
Yeah.
hours here and a few
Yep.
hours there. If you couldn't fit yourself in there, you
Yep.
didn't bring your dog.
right.
And
Yep.
so this will be a whole lot more dogs probably.
Yeah, no, and we're running the daycare now. So daycare runs
Oh, is
all
it?
day.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So it's, we're at about 30 dogs for daycare per day right now. I don't want to make that too much higher because it's not. It
Well, and
just
the ones
doesn't.
that stay overnight would be part of the daycare, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but yeah, some are, some aren't. Some come out just for an hour and go back in, or they go, the walks sometimes that you see are people, the customers will buy walks because they don't have a dog that can play well with other dogs. So they want to have the dog get some walking time in,
Right.
so they buy a walk. So that's part of what you see too, with our employees out in the yard or,
It's too bad you can't somehow get to field view
yeah,
the back way and then you could walk on that road. Because it's not that busy.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Well, you know what? I actually don't want them walking on MN. Maybe I shouldn't say this in a public setting, but now that you're bringing this up, I was not totally aware that she was walking on MN. I wanted her to stay on our property because yes, there's enough space to do those walks on our property. So I'll talk to her about that. So
I mean, that has happened. Rosemont did that too. They had them out there
Okay.
and, they walked up and down, but,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, but it's just seems like there's more traffic
Yeah.
than there
It's
was.
a nice road. They just, they
It's
just redid
nice
it.
and smooth.
Yeah, so, but yeah, but I think that's too why I, as it's viable, I want to build that solid building and have play areas in there so that we do have a plan. Like if it's too much and you guys come to me and say, hey, this noise is really bothering me, we have a viable plan to still make our business viable and have an indoor space where they can play and not create noise for you guys, So that's definitely why I'm proposing the solid building structure, for sure. So for what it's worth, that's definitely where we want to go,
Thank you.
Absolutely, yeah, because I want to be a good neighbor, for sure, yeah. So,
So you have a plan, 2 to 3 years on this whole thing.
yeah,
So
that's correct, yeah.
at the end, you're looking for the employees and 100 dogs.
Yeah, so the 100 dogs would be Thanksgiving, Christmas,
Mhm.
probably a lot of summer weekends. I mean, honestly, because it does get
Yeah.
very busy summer weekends. But yes, there's a lot of times in the year though where we're at 25 on a weekend. There's weeknights where we're under 10. Just it doesn't, that's the way it goes.
Okay.
So
So for the 100 dogs, you'd have to have everything complete.
right now, unless we built this kennel building on the south side,
Yeah.
Heather, yeah, right now we couldn't go over 50. So that's the only way we can get a boarding capacity to add those dogs for overnight would be building that building.
To the south.
To the south, yeah.
Changing the house.
35 by 90.
Right, exactly, yep.
Getting rid of the house and making the building.
Yeah. And the other thing too, sorry,
No, go ahead.
the other thing that I would do too, or want to do if we did that building would be to build probably about, I would say 4 additional play spaces behind the building. We'd have to work with the engineer to make sure the drainage can work out right, but that again would add even more play areas to separate dogs and make smaller groups and, less noise. And they would all be, I'm not deviating from the solid metal fencing to go 8 feet high so that it helps to eliminate as much as possible the stimulation.
Okay.
Yep.
I didn't know if you needed the whole 100% of that area to be done in order to occupy the 100 dogs. So then there'd be a phasing, maybe
There would be.
60 or 70 dogs until you had the whole thing.
It would be that building would be the jump. So in other words, it wouldn't be phasing. It's
You're not gonna go above the 50 dogs until you get that.
yeah.
Until you build that 35 by 90.
Okay, that's what I heard earlier.
Right.
No, that's correct. Yep.
And that's 2 phases over 2 to 3 years.
That's correct. Yep.
Any other questions, concerns? Any action?
I have one more question.
Sure.
Who monitors that? You have 100 dogs or you have 50 dogs or, does anybody check on that? I wouldn't think so.
Not part of the census.
Yeah, that's a good
Not
point.
until there's a complaint, we call the county.
Ah, all right.
And then the county would go out and at whatever day or time they get there, they're gonna count the dogs, so.
Yeah.
The conditional approval of this to say that it can't be over 50 until that building is built then.
Right.
So you would
Until
want
that
this-
35 by 90 is built,
Yeah,
it stays at 50.
because otherwise there's nothing
And
to.
And we're going to want to see the baffling, the solid fences,
Mhm.
and we're going to need a plan of action if there's a
Okay.
complaint as to who's going to answer the phone, how long is somebody going to act,
Yeah.
is it going to take to somebody act on it,
Mhm. Okay.
that sort of thing.
Yeah. That's fair.
And
Yeah,
I
that's fair.
would imagine that number, we want it to be monitored 24/7.
Yeah. Well, our business phone is monitored. It's got somebody, obviously, clearly it's got someone answering it all the time. So
Yeah.
we would definitely get the message. So, yeah.
So if John comes home at 2 o'clock in the morning from the Packer game and the dogs are barking, he can't fall asleep, he's gonna call you. And he
Yeah.
wants somebody to act on it.
Yeah, that makes sense. For sure. No,
It might have been a Brewer game, I don't know.
I get it. That makes sense. And obviously, it's not okay, so. Yeah. Yeah, this is great feedback. I appreciate it, from the standpoint of just how we do it, what's fair and, talking to sequencing, maybe it does make a lot more sense to just build that building to the north and really reassure, hopefully, maybe have a plan for me to mitigate this if it becomes, or if it is an issue, where we can get the dogs to be inside, so it's not.
And just so you know, before you can do any building, you have to come back to us
Mhm.
for review of your building plans and the materials that you're using.
Okay, yep.
And so one of the things we'll want to see is the baffling.
Yeah, sure, for sure, yeah. So in terms of what I was talking about for the idea I had to try and build the east side in the spring, in May, because that is still, I'm considering the first step as far as outdoor expansion with the pavilion on the east side. I guess, can you shed some light on what the process is then? If we can move this and I go on December 13th and get initial approval from the county, would I need to come back and have a meeting before we
Before you'll get a building permit,
permit? Okay, got it. Okay,
we have to agree on the color, the
got it. Okay,
type of the building
okay.
and all of that,
Aesthetic.
how it's going to look
Aesthetics. Okay,
and function.
And a full site plan, not that he has to do everything at once, it's just that we're looking for a full.
the full site plan, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you want architect, I would assume the architect's plans?
Yep.
All right,
And I would assume as soon as you have that architect's plan, you're going to talk to the county to ensure that they're not going to need any stormwater.
right. Yep, yeah,
Because then you'll know what the hard surfaces are going to be
Yeah.
and
mhm,
they'll make their determination.
mhm. Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Anything else?
We need a motion.
Yes, we do.
So he wants to update the CUP.
From 50 to 100.
Right. And then got the drawings that he's presented with the sequencing noted. For the next 2 to 3 years. Those
The phasing.
phasing. He's got the parking lot designed. That's probably where he's gonna have any issue with water, surface water issues with the county. It's increasing that for erosion control. And then he can't go above the 50 dogs until he gets the new kennel building built.
That 35 by 90 building to replace the house.
Replacing the residence, right?
Yeah.
Anything else in there?
Baffling any needs that.
Yeah,
action
instead of
plan
saying
for-
baffling is a pretty specific term.
It's
You know,
sound-
how about just sound deadening?
Soundproofing.
Soundproofing, sound deadening.
Well, deadening, I was gonna say, because
Sound deadening.
if you say soundproofing, I think you're gonna say,
That's
we don't
the,
hear
Nothing
anything.
is-
That's pretty much right out of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then that we want an action plan to how to handle.
Can I ask this? We're getting the new kennel we put in February in the interior of the current building. And with the structure of that, it'll be 50 enclosures, but there are definitely a fair amount of families who like to bring, 2 dogs that can fit in one enclosure because they're from the same family. So my question would be, is it possible for me to ask for 70? I was just trying to do the math in my head about like what percentage people might bring 2 dogs. If I also, agree to this step-by-step review process of doing the sound deadening and taking all these steps, would you be open to that?
I guess my question to you then is if we approve 70, what's it going to take to move to that next phase to build a 35 by 90 building? 30 dogs?
Well, yeah, the reason why, I'll tell you why. Let me explain that. Because this is a fantastic industry in which there's a group of people out there who will pay a lot more than what we charge for the pampered stuff.
Yeah.
Suites, the room with the human, that's what that building would have. That building would have 20 suites. 6 by 6 with a little bed and the whole thing, and they would pay twice as much for that. So from a revenue standpoint for my business, that's huge. I can't do that right now. So yes, to answer your question, it'd be a big step in. I'm very motivated to build that building, is to answer your question. Yeah.
I guess personally, I'd be more motivated to leave it at 50 until you build
Okay.
a 35 by 90.
Okay.
Yeah, so the things that, yeah, we just talked about the number of pets, hours of operation, 6 to 6, number of employees not to exceed 20, and signage that he wants to put it, but that's county.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So the current CUP, number 22, talks about the single family residence and is for a caretaker only.
Mhm.
I mean, it just seems like you've got like this middle time where you're still gonna have that residence, you know. But I don't know where that
Yeah,
fits in anymore.
right. I had proposed in the new one, taking away the house would not be a residence anymore.
Okay.
The building is still there, but
Yeah, it's not,
nobody's staying. there.
nobody's
I
living.
mean, you could theoretically have shifts, couldn't you, where somebody worked an overnight? shift and
It'd be like an
wasn't living
office
there?
building, more or less, yeah.
Yeah. So if you wanted to have somebody work an overnight shift, that wouldn't be the same thing as a caretaker living there.
Yeah, but then are they gonna call it a commercial building?
Yeah, well, that's the
Well,
thing. If
that's
it's
what I
not
thought
a
the architect
residence, then
Yeah.
you might get into having to
Mhm.
meet code for that. And
Yeah.
so there's that middle time in there that I'm not sure where that house fits.
Yeah.
No, that's right.
You'd have restricted use on it, can't be commercial. When you can have it.
Well, I spoke to the architect specifically about that to see what would it take to essentially make it commercial, and he did. I got to review it a little more, but he didn't seem to think it would be.
Cost effective?
No, actually the opposite. Not, I don't know if it's cost effective, but he didn't seem to think it would be that difficult to achieve what we need to for the in-between time period. You know, it'd be an issue, obviously, like, you know, definitely some lighting, exit lights, that sort of thing,
Mhm.
and a couple other things, but it would be doable. So,
So he thinks you could take that private residence,
mhm,
create a commercial building out of it.
yeah,
That would meet code.
yes. Mhm. He does. Now I want to dive into it a little bit more, because I just had him out last week. He sent me an initial report where he looked at all the codes, you know, coding. But yes. Mhm.
Well, just as for the motion, we just say that we expect the building to become a commercial property after the first of the year or so, or whenever it's deemed
Mhm.
applicable within the next year. I would have.
Right, okay.
By the way, you do show on one of these original drawings, those play yards off the.
Oh, I did. Okay.
Off the New Kendall building that are not on here, but I
Yeah.
understand why you'd want to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't see any other conditions on the original paperwork on the petition for change. Noting any others there, Chris?
I mean, there's a lot of conditions on the current CUP. Do you want to keep some of those, or you want to go through those at all and say what?
I think we should go through them and see which ones we want to keep. That's 2475.
Yes.
Yeah, need,
Did you want to see all these?
I suppose I can send them from me. Sorry, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I might have an extra copy here.
Oh, okay.
Maybe not. But this is your current
The
condition.
current CUP, yeah.
You have we're looking at number 6.
Let me get an extra copy.
You done with anything with that? I'm gonna assume you're fine,
Yeah,
but for the new cup. You should be fine.
so wastewater sewage disposal system, so we're certainly talking about the current way we dispose of dog waste.
Yeah, the
Right,
system
yeah,
as
yeah.
it is right now,
Yeah.
because it's a new company.
Okay. I know I had the house septic inspected this summer.
Okay.
But I did he inspect? I can't remember if he inspected this. I'm sorry.
The animal waste.
Look, the animal waste one.
Okay.
I have to look and see if he did. So,
Well, like number 3 on that one talks about buildings conforming to commercial code.
Mhm.
New and existing buildings proposed to house a conditional use must be constructed and maintained to meet current requirements of applicable sections of Wisconsin Commercial Building Code or Uniform Building Code.
That covers the house.
So really, you'd be looking just from this one, you'd be looking to change the hours. You'd be looking to change the maximum number of employees and the maximum number of pets. Is there anything else that's really different?
the thing, I know I put on there that number 22 would not any longer be,
Cross that off.
yeah, cross 22 off because not a
You
single.
could cross off 9.
Okay.
Well, unless they did decide that an expansion needed something more, that'd be up to the county, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because for that number of people coming, should be okay where you are right now, I would think.
I feel like, yeah, it would be, but, yeah, I mean, obviously it's not up to me.
Is that driveway originally right off of N?
Yeah.
This one that you see coming?
When it was just a house for
Yeah,
Link, yeah,
but back when they got this one, that's when they made them
go to MN.
Go to MN, yeah.
bring it around the backside. Okay.
Yep.
And so the hours of operation, you want to change those to what?
Oh, so I wanted to make them continuous from 6 to 6.
Every day?
Actually Sunday, well, no, Sunday would be, Sunday would remain the same. Maybe 3 to 6, but I guess we could put that Sunday 3 to 6, but otherwise, Monday through Saturday, 6 to 6.
6?
Yeah.
Number of employees from 6 goes to,
So I believe I put 20. The, just to clarify, we'd never have 20 there at once. Most, on average, you'd probably have full capacity or full, plan. On average, you'd probably have 8 to 10 there at one time.
But full employment would be 20.
Yeah, full number of employees on payroll would be 20. Yep.
Do we need to limit his total employment, just that the employees on site at one time, right?
yeah, I think
I don't know.
on site at one time,
Yeah,
why
why
we-
care if he's got 100 employees.
Yeah, right.
10 at one time.
Okay.
And we're maximum number of boarded pets stays at 50 until The-
New kennel building is
35 by
Mhm.
90 is built. Then it can go to 100.
we keep 19 swimming pool.
No, The swimming pool is gone. So, yeah, so I think that was an original
So we can.
suggestion, but we can strike 19.
We'll strike the swimming pool. Limited.
So outdoor activities are just limited to a fenced play area?
It's not a fence, though, it's friends play areas, right?
Yeah,
Right,
multiple, yep.
correct.
Yep.
And then outdoor lighting is be, I don't know, one fixture? That doesn't make sense.
Well,
No.
tell me what does that mean? Because right now we have one fixed fixture,
That was,
But what's,
but I put LED lights just to plug them in and, to like right now, it gets dark at 4:30. Well, I have to have a light out there.
Well, when you come for your building review, we're gonna look at your lighting plan.
Okay, got
so,
it.
And they all have to be
Yeah.
so we don't need
night
that,
sky.
yeah, we don't have to have this in here though, in the CUP, is my point.
Number 20.
Yeah, because we can cover that inside the building, yeah, so I'd strike 20.
correct. Scratch it.
And you wanted to put an additional sign for 21. You wanted to have 2 signs, right?
Yeah, I did, yep. Yep.
So that'd be 2 signs.
Mhm.
And nothing's changing with the crematory.
Right. Yeah, there's nothing to change with that.
And we've already gone over the CUP conditions, findings of fact. That's no
Last
problem.
time.
Yeah, so that's my motion.
Get it all?
I don't know. Did you get it all?
So I just basically, so 15, 16, 17, and 19 were all changed. That was hours, number of employees, number of pets, and multiple play areas with no swimming pool.
15, 16, 17, 19.
Did you say omit number
20
9?
20 is, I thought we decided to leave that up to the county.
Yeah,
20 is crossed, is crossed off. 21 is limited to the one existing sign plus the one additional one he's asking for.
has to meet county standards.
That's what I said,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Okay. And cross off 22.
Yeah.
Is that all of it?
Do I need, if I want to do employee stays overnight, doesn't live there, but stays overnight as part of, I'm paying the employee to do that, to do the sporting room, does that need to be in here? Or do you guys know?
It'll be on how you design that 35 by 90 building.
Got it, okay. Okay,
If it has
Accommodations for,
accommodations
yeah,
in it.
okay,
Because we're saying the hours of operation, we're not talking that anybody could stay or couldn't stay there, right?
Right.
Those are the
Not
open
not
hours.
prohibiting.
Yeah.
yeah, it's not open to the public, it's just, yeah, okay.
not for us to say if they're sleeping or working on the job,
Yeah, good call.
as long as they have accommodations.
Yeah. Yeah,
Could you read back what it talks about the employees?
Just that the maximum number of employees shall not exceed 10 at any one time.
Okay.
10
On site, on site.
On site, yeah.
We don't care how many employees he has, it's up to him.
can you, actually, I'm just thinking through that a little bit.
Well, actually, except for staff meetings or something like that, because
Oh,
you
yeah,
can.
I'll just make them Zoom. Can we make that 12? Is that okay? I'm just trying to think of like again, if we have 100, if that gets approved, and I just want to be on the safe side on that.
Finally,
Is that okay?
because you were talking about 15 at one time.
Yeah, I was, yeah, but yeah, that's too high. Like we're full today and I only had 6. So double it, I guess.
Okay, so
Double it.
Dave, you made the motion.
Yeah.
Was there a second?
I didn't get one if there was.
I'll second
Second by Andrew.
I didn't hear one either.
And we've gone over it. Is there any discussion on that motion?
I have a question just on you're pushing to get to 70 now. You said you got a substantial amount of customers that are willing to pay a lot more. Will you lose them if you wait 3 years?
My concern with not being able to bump it over 50, just in terms of getting like 2 dogs to stay in, 2 dog families, would just be losing revenue, particularly on these, like a busy time of year. Part of the reason we're updating the kenneling is to be more efficient and have a more modern system where we could do this. And so obviously it's gonna hurt not to be able to expand a little bit.
Push you to build that 35 by 80 building.
You're not wrong. I won't lose. So I don't think in terms of the customers who pay for a suite, they'll always be there. Right now, those suites exist on like some of the facilities on the west side of town. I'm not aware of them really existing on this side of Madison in Mass. So I'm confident about that. But yeah, I wouldn't lose like multiple dog families. It'd just be limited. Unfortunately, we have to turn a lot of people away. But, I can figure out how to deal with that.
Just first come, first serve, huh?
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it is now. So yeah, same thing. But, yeah. Yep.
So if there's no other discussion on the motion, those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Abstentions? All abstain. All right, you're 15th at the time.
13th, I think.
13th.
Well, first you'll be at the town board on the 5th.
Yeah, town board on the 5th.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. So December, here.
December
Okay.
5th for the town board, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same place, different faces.
Okay.
Well, some different faces.
Yeah.
Sound the same. too.
All right. Next item was discuss and consider recommendation regarding proposed Dane County ordinance amendment 2022 OA-44 regarding conditional use permits. I would suggest you support that. It's a smart thing to do.
The original, I'm gonna report in from the Dane County County Association. The committee and things used to be the county court, and the suggestion was made to go to where it's at now, to the Board of Adjustments, because of the fact that to go to county court mandates the use of an attorney and lots of time and lots of money. However, there have been mistakes made. There's things that the Board of Adjustments perhaps doesn't have the expertise and or the knowledge and or to adequately hear things the way they should be. And it's a recommendation to go back to county court because of the fact that you're going to have professionals looking at it.
Adjudicators.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. And yes, it's going to be more expensive for those appealing their denials, but so be it.
Did the Towns Association, right?
Yeah.
What'd they speak about with this 1 year thing versus,
Which portion are you referring to?
instituting the permit within a year versus reasonable length of time.
Oh, yeah, the word reasonable was very, very subjective. And there were people who were dragging their feet.
Milking it.
Yeah. And so,
But here's a prime example right here.
What's
We're gonna
that?
give him a CUP, an updated one, and he may delay for economic reasons beyond his control.
But these, it's not,
We're giving it to him. He just can't go to 100 until he builds that building.
As long as
Correct.
his CUP spells
And-
out that it's gonna be phased, I think he'll be okay. But yeah, if he was going from nothing to a CUP and took more than a year to do it, then under this, he wouldn't be able to do it anymore.
Right.
I got a problem with that because a lot of people may not have the wherewithal to do that because of supply chain problems or other issues that come up. There's got to be a better way instead of this big bright line of 1 year. Not 30
it's
days.
commenced. The key word is commenced. So he started, or he will be starting on his
In January.
journey, right, you know, to do that.
Remodeling,
Yeah. And,
but
and
well, approval is.
And the other thing is too, is the
But,
fact
that's
that
it.
the only time it's gonna get to county court is if, say it's revoked, or somebody is appealing a decision for a CUP. Those are the kinds of things that are gonna end up in county court versus our gentleman here tonight who's just kind of,
Well, I think the court is only A, then B and C are separate issues from the court, aren't they? There are other amendments, and so C is the one that's saying that it used to say that if it was not instituted within the year, it became null and void. The Chapter 10 rewrite took that out, and this will put it back in.
Mhm.
So
Depends on what instituted means, I guess.
yeah, I'm reading it that it's not being utilized. Construction period may take longer than a year,
correct, but
and that's not commencing the CUP.
your what, building permits are good for what, 2 years, Mark, or 3? 2?
2 years usually.
To-
2. Plus you have the opportunity to extend it again, correct?
Is it 2 years?
You can extend it too if you apply for an extension, correct? For whatever reason.
Supply chain.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I think your concerns, there are ways to address your concerns.
Can they, if it does pass or come up to a year, can they come back to renew the CUP?
If what happens?
If it was close to a year. I've got a comp for whatever, it's coming up to a year, I haven't started anything. Obviously, after 1 year, it expires. But if I come in and talk with somebody, I can get it renewed. Is that true or not?
You'd probably have to go through the
Whole process again.
whole process again.
Yeah. I just think 1 year is too quick. If building permits are 2 years, why can't this be 2 years at least? I'm just,
But the Towns Association.
Okay,
prove me wrong, Steve.
again, I'm gonna go back to the line. It says, if any use allowed by an approved CUP is not commenced within 1 year of issuance, okay? And once he gets approved, he will commence it. He will commence his project.
This guy will, yeah.
Yes.
But does making the changes to the building, necessary changes of the CUP commence it, or does that speaks to use, like operations, once the building modifications are made and the CUP is where the operations are started, that's what I read that as.
The definition of commence is to begin.
Yeah.
So,
But is the building modifications a commencement of the CUP or is the operations?
Yeah, because he's got to have approval to do his building changes, correct?
Go about, or another definition here, to go about the initial step of doing something. Approach, begin, embark, enter, initiate, institute, those are all the words.
Synonyms.
Yeah.
I look at it as if I got a cup and I don't do a single thing from the day that I get it approved, not a thing, and sit on it. That's where they say, okay, fine, you didn't do a thing. You're done. Go back to the table. That's the way I read it.
Mhm.
If, with the gentleman getting the drawings together and where it says any use allowed, well, he is doing something. He is initiating.
And how long is that good for? As long as the building permit is good?
What's that, your CUP?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, when you're talking about starting within a year, if he starts within a year, does that expire again at any point? Or just, he just has to start?
No, that's, he just has, the way I read it, he just has to start it.
Yep.
Yeah.
This way I read it is for people that,
Start making the modifications to the real estate.
You dig the hole, but it's gonna take me 2 years to get the steel from India here, so
We
I
start-
started. I dug the hole.
Okay. So you think it's on commencement of the construction project, not the operations of the business?
Correct.
or for whatever the CUP is.
So I would make
Oh,
the
begins, right.
motion to support amendment 2022-08-44.
Second.
Second by Steve. Discussion.
Well, I was kind of wondering what the Towns Association thought when they were saying they were really supporting this to go through.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Return.
Motion by Anders, second by Klinger to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. Don't eat too much.